Hello everyone! It's Scoops week and I'm back. So I did mention that I will no longer be doing regular videos, but that doesn't mean I won't be doing one-off special Netrunner videos, and that's what today is about. Nisei has very kindly invited me back to do some coverage on Scoops week. So here we are, and joining me today is my very esteemed Patreon supporter. It's none other than Yannick. Hi, Yannick.
Hey Ben, how are you doing? Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, it's great having you back.
Also, I'm no longer your Patreon supporter.
But you have been one of my, best long-time supporters. So we'll just keep the name there.
No.
So yeah, but before we get, you were gonna say?
I was just gonna say, excited that you make more Netrunner videos, even if it's just a one-off, and happy to be part of it.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to be part of it as well, because what we're gonna do obviously is spoil some upcoming cards, Nisei cards from the Ashes cycle, and that's something that FFG really dropped the ball on. I think, do you remember back then around Lunar cycle when FFG used to partner up with content creators to spoil cards? They stopped doing that, and I think it's a pity.
I think I didn't play back then. I started at Order and Chaos.
Ah, I see. Yeah. So, yeah, FFG did that a while back, and we was, it really got a lot of hype and got the community excited for the new packs, but they just stopped doing that, and I think it's a very good move from Nisei that they're doing this, so I'd like to give a big thank you to them.
Yeah, it's super cool. I'm also really excited to see, I guess a lot of other content creators will also have spoiler videos. So
yep. And yeah, so we are going to get a bunch of cards today. We'll slowly review them as the video goes, and I'd like to say that we got a bunch of HB cards. So HB, a bit because I don't think it's our favorite faction. Would you say?
It used to be a long time ago.
Back when food codes was a thing, I guess?
Yeah.
Well, maybe this will breathe new life into food codes. Let's start with the first card. Here we go. It's Miramar. Okay, I guess y'all have seen this card before, or at least the beta versions of it. Miramar, it's a standard 14-15 HB identity that reads, if the first, second, and third actions you take on your turn are different from each other, when the third completes, you may either gain 1 credit or take a different fourth action paying 1 click less. This is basically, to get everyone back up to speed, if you've read the Immersion Creativity article on Nisei, they talked about how they designed Miramorph, which was basically going to be a reverse Jeeves stapled onto an ID ability. It's a 45-15 that gives you an extra click the first time you take 3 different actions. Now, they found that this was broken because if you print an ID like this, you can use Biotic Label to score a 4-2 agenda instead of the usual 3-2 agenda, and that's a bit strong. So the final Miramorph ID now has the stipulation that the last click, the extra click you gain from Miramorph, must not be an action that you have taken in the same turn. So that means you cannot use it to advance multiple times. Right, so how did you feel when this ID first came out?
Yeah, I mean, this is, right off the bat, quite an interesting design because it just takes some time to wrap your head around. You need to really carefully plan your turns, or maybe you shouldn't, because if you don't get, it depends how much value you get out of it. If you only get the credit out of it, it's a really elaborate way of being the poor man's ETF. The dream is, of course, to get another click out of it. I actually had to go back to the the click card and see what actually constitutes a separate click. Playing 2 different operations doesn't count.
Nope.
Any sort of installs you do, that's all one.
They are considered an install.
Yeah. Right. So you can basically draw. I mean, okay, like you're sometimes trashing resources. You're perching. I guess you can never trigger that. You can advance a card. But otherwise, you can play an operation, you can install something, you can gain a credit, and you can draw. And besides that, you can just trigger a lot of click abilities on cards. And that's kind of where the power lies. If you can get powerful click abilities on cards, so that, because if you just do like draw one, gain one credit, and then install, and then gain one credit again, then it's a bit lackluster.
Yeah, the baseline is quite lackluster. As you said, it's basically a poor man's ETF. But I think because you cannot, I mean, most of the time, because of it's a card game, you cannot rely on those clickability cards. They might not appear. So the baseline is you need to have a deck that can make you consistently do this every turn. As you said, click 1, draw, click 2, take a credit, click 3, install, and then take an extra credit from Miramar.
Right.
The cool thing is it works on scoring turns as well. You can install, advance, take a credit, and then Miramar a credit. So there's a lot of ways to get to trigger this ID, but each trigger isn't that amazing, I would say.
Right, but as soon as you want to play 2 cards and you just install them, no, I mean, as soon as you install 2 cards without any tricks, you can almost already not trigger it anymore. And I feel like as HP, especially early games, you quite often want to install, you know, for example, 2 eyes, right? Or even like an eyes in the Rashida, and already you cannot trigger the ID. And then the other thing is there are quite a lot of turns where you just have to advance. So it's kind of a number with agendas, which, like, yes, it's the anti-Jeeves, but just by, like, Jeeves is a lot stronger than this ID. Just kind of pure vanilla efficiency, even without doing any combos, I think Jeeves is stronger.
I suppose because for 2 reasons. Firstly, the Jeeves click is more flexible, right? You're not forced to you use the last click in any way. But more importantly, it's also because Jeeves is a win condition. It allows you to advance 4-2 agendas from unadvanced state, for example. And Miramar...
never advancing or biotic labor 4-2 is very strong from Jeeves.
And Miramar was specifically designed to avoid exactly this situation. Right, so... interesting. I would say, I mean, you know, initial thoughts, I would say that Miramorph is not as strong as Sports Metal, but as you said, it really depends on what sort of click cards there are. Right, so let's move on to those click cards, because those are going to be the next cards that we'll be spoiling, and here they are. It's... Calvin Bailey and Nano Etching. Both of these are HB assets that cost 0 to res and 3 for the runner to trash. Calvin is associated with the draw 2 cards benefit, while Nano Etching is associated with the gain 2 credits benefit. Both of these have a click ability that allow you to gain the benefit, but only can be used once a turn. Additionally, when the runner trashes these assets, you will also gain the aforementioned benefit. So yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, because these are interesting designs of assets that have click abilities that are souped up versions of your basic action card, everyone's favorite card, but they also give you benefits when the runner trashes them. So yeah.
Right. I think those cards, of the whole package, I like those cards the most. I think they're really awesome. I mean, there's the Wayland asset, you know, that you can click for 2 credits. The capital investors or something.
Yes, that one.
But this one, like right off the bat, it's 0 to res. So first click, you're already making profit.
Yep.
And if they trash it, it's another 2 credits. So that's already hedge fund
value.
value.
It's already hedge fund.
Yeah, so that's really, really good. The draw one, maybe a little bit less so, because, I mean, yes, drawing is good, especially if you have like a spammy or tempo-y deck. But remember, if you're drawing a lot of cards, and then if you use all remaining clicks to install multiple cards, it will be very hard to trigger Mirror Morph. And since shipment from Miramar has rotated, ironically,
Wah, wah,
um,
wah.
having a lot of cards on hand, uh, maybe it will be hard to deal with that. There's certain operations that allow you to play cards, but there's only so many of those you can have. Uh, but the credit one is super cool. The trash thing is I think it's a very, very cool design because it's this pure tempo card. And as we have seen during the game, we have recorded the games before we're discussing this, and we found out during the game, looking up NetRunnerDB and Jeeves, that you can have multiples of these, and then you can click each one of them for 2 credits, and if you like, this helps towards getting the 3 different clicks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really cool.
Yep, indeed. So, yeah, triggering Miramorph that way is cool. I personally feel that at least nano etching is so strong, right? I mean, gaining 2 credits instead of 1, that's double your click efficiency. It's so strong that it's a must trash for the runner if it's not protected.
Yeah.
So when you saw these assets at first, of course, we are going to do some playthroughs later, and because we want to showcase these cards, we will both be playing Miramorph. But when you saw these assets, what do you think the best home for nano etching and Calvin are? Would they be in HB? Or do you think they belong somewhere else?
So I thought maybe I can be sneaky and actually play another ID than Miramorph, but then we both ended up playing Miramorph. There's Gagarin, there's IG, there's CTM where you can protect your stuff. But actually, if you get extra protection like in CTM, then there's clickless ways of getting money as well. And I thought really that, I'm not going to protect this for long, but just the tempo it gives me from like using it once or twice and having it trashed is enough. Because I also thought that, I cannot, somehow I thought it's maybe unique Calvin is unique.
Yep, Calvin is unique.
Oh, I didn't see, but nano etching isn't unique. So I thought, you're not going to trash it because it's like, when you trash Jeeves and then they just rest the next one. So like trashing unique assets can sometimes feel really bad. But nano etching is actually not unique, which I think makes the case for trashing it a lot higher.
Yep.
But like, it's interesting, right? Like, if you can protect this sufficiently, then you could also play Adonis campaign. Then you could also play the other campaign.
Marilyn.
Marilyn, right? And you can get clickless money as well. Now, in this ID, it is kind of clickless because if you do manage to do the trio, you do get 1 click for free. But it forces you to play a certain way. So
Right, so that's that's a very interesting point. So basically, nano etching gives you 2 credits a turn, but so does Marilyn and Adonis. So it's competing with the campaigns for that. And that was the way you were thinking. When I was building my deck, I was actually thinking of Rashida. Like, Rashida is just better. Like, for 1 click, you're gaining 3 cards and 3 credits. For nano etching, you have to click it multiple times in order for it to, kind of rival Rashida in terms of efficiency. So I think it's competing with existing engine cards quite a bit.
I feel like if you play it and use it once a turn, and they don't do anything, and you play Miramorph, then it's very strong. If you have 2 of them out, they don't do anything, it's very strong. If they trash it right away, it's also still strong, but it's just a small tempo swing, right? So if you can use that tempo swing, fair game, right? But if you cannot use that tempo swing, this is not gonna like pull away and help you win. And if you can protect it like fully, let's say you put 2 eyes in front, like you're never gonna trash this, then you might as well play a campaign. And I mean, we haven't seen that happening in a large scale for quite some time, especially with Amakua and crowdfunding and all kind of the liability that open remotes give you. So what I could see is if you have like 1 remote with like a slot machine or a pop-up window or something, and you jam this behind, and it's kind of this at the edge of where it's still worth it for them to trash, they still trash it, you do get the other 2 credits, and then you jam other assets. You jam this over and over again. If you can get the runner into that spot, then the tempo swing is like maximal, right?
Yep.
Like, and then it might be good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's, yeah. I mean, otherwise you can also play Sundew, and if you can protect it, right? Like you could say, well, this is great in RP, but no, Sundew is great in RP.
That is true. Yeah, Sundew just is straight up better than nano etching, isn't it? Yeah, it's interesting. I think it might end up being a niche engine card just because so many better ones exist. But you know, it's an option, and we love having more options in Netrunner. So I'm very happy that these cards are printed. Right, so that closes it off for Calvin Bailey and nano etching. So, wait, we have one more. We have one more card to spoil. All right, get ready, folks. Here it is. It's the next clearance in the clearance suite to replace our Fallen Brothers green level clearance, ultraviolet clearance. We now have red level clearance. This is a 1-cost HB operation that has a transaction subtype. When played, you get to resolve 2 of the following in any order. Draw 2, gain 2 credits, install up to 1 non-agenda card, and gain a click. So, at first glance, it's basically the Corp Deuce's WoW, isn't it? It feels kind of marginal to me, like the numbers. So if you look at the numbers, let's say you take the first 2 options, gain 2 credit and draw 2 cards. So after playing it, you'll be 1 credit up and 2 cards up. That's kind of like green level efficiency, and we all know how much play green level saw when it was still in the legal card pool. So yeah, nowadays with the power creep, you know, cards need to do more, and it's a little hard to justify playing this card, especially when the other 2 options don't do anything niche. Like with Deuce's Wild, for example, you could power up an Armor Core with the Expose ability, or you could remove tags. Red level clearance just gives you very basic abilities, gaining a click, right, and installing a non-agenda card. That's also something you can do with your basic action card, unlike exposing. So I feel like this is a little on the weak side, which is kind of ironic given that red level is supposed to be, red is a color that signifies danger, extremities, and such. So it's kind of underwhelming for a red level clearance, but I guess it works well with Miramar.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly meant to trigger Miramar. I feel like the installing part is nice because that means you can install 2 cards in 1 turn and still trigger Miramorph. The gaining click could actually also be nice because you could also use it to install or advance something, like, because if you have 1 more click, that means you have the luxury of doing something twice and still be able to trigger Miramorph.
That is true. Yes, that's a very good point.
So you could actually install 3 cards if you have red level clearance.
Or you could advance an agenda twice, which would be nice if
right.
it's an NGO front or 5-3.
Right. And then, of course, you can pad it with... You can also draw cards and gain clicks, but in terms of triggering, the bottom 2 are the most interesting ones, right? Mm-hmm. A similar card, by the way, is Lateral Growth. It allows you to install a card via playing an operation. And that's also one way to trigger Miramorph more often.
And it gives you more money, right? Net gain 2 credits instead of 1.
Yeah, so I feel like this is only really good if you gain a click and install a non-agenda card.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Again, like red level clearance, and I mean all these cards in the vacuum are interesting and potentially good, but when you compare it to what we have right now, you know, red level versus lateral growth, it's a bit hard to make the case for lateral growth even in Miramorph. Red level in Miramorph, because it has to do better than lateral growth, which it could, but pretty situational. Right.
Or maybe we haven't seen something yet with how you can combine all of this. But...
yeah, I guess we'll just keep using that as our excuse until all the cards are released, then we'll see. Yep, so that's our analysis for the cards that we Scooping. Hope you find them interesting. In the next video, we will do our playthrough where both of us will play Miramar against some tried and tested runner decks without any upcoming cards in them, and we'll see how they do. So join us then. For now, it's bye from me and bye from Yannick.
Goodbye.
Right, see ya.
Cheers.
That's the end of the video, but if you're watching this live from YouTube Premiere, stick around because subsequent parts of the video, namely the playthrough, will be coming up shortly. First, there'll be a 5-minute break, so take this time to stretch your legs, go to the toilet, grab a cup of water, stay hydrated. And once you're done with that, hop over to the playthrough video. The link to that is in the video description, so check it out. Once again, hop over to the link in the video description. That is where the upcoming video will continue from. See you there in 5 minutes.